The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
The news cycle doesn't end on Friday. It needs perspective. That's why every Sunday at midday, Nationwide 90 FM presents The Week That Was. A clear, informed review of the top stories that shaped the past week, what really mattered and what lies ahead. No noise, no theatrics, just analysis, context, and clarity. The Week That Was. Sundays at 12 p.m. Understand the news before the week begins. Only on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Welcome to another episode of our weekend news and current affairs program, The Week That Was. This is where we review the major stories of the last week and, of course, we take an informed look at what lies ahead. If you want to understand the news, not just consume it, this is certainly the program for you. I'm yours truly, your host, Saeed Bernard, and joining me today to bring analysis to the major stories of the past week are Attorney at Law Yannick Watson and Director of Hickey Grant Property Masters, Dennis Hickey. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good. Great. Well, matters of the law and crime, governance, accountability, and corruption dominated last week's news cycle. Nora Gay Banton recaps the top stories.
Hundreds of motorists converging on the National Arena in Kingston on Wednesday and Thursday for the Traffic Ticket Public Days is our top 3 story this week. The 2-day event was organized by the Court Administration Division, CAD. The judiciary designed the program to alleviate the backlog of over 1 million outstanding traffic tickets before the courts. One motorist, with close to 100 outstanding tickets, was among those who took advantage of the event.
I signed up with a small government 200,000, but I end up with 92 tickets and come up like today. So I signed up for the amnesty and come up today and face the judge. That showed 12 out of 90, charged me for 80. I learned something about 439,800. So here are going people, I'm free now. I want to come in and start out to myself because it's the new traffic cap. A serious business. So here I go. I'm free man to that I'm free to keep police my life and work the traffic cap and everything. Right. So I'm free. I'm good to go.
In second is Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake's admission that misconduct, non-compliance, and indiscipline remain persistent challenges within the JCF. Writing in the latest edition of his force orders on Wednesday, Commissioner Blake says the JCF continues to make significant progress in strengthening its systems and improving professional standards. But he notes that misconduct, non-compliance, and indiscipline within the organization undermine these gains. Commissioner Blake says addressing these shortcomings is an essential part of building a modern, accountable police service. But he notes that no organization of the JCF's size and complexity could expect to eliminate every internal challenge. And this week's top story is retired Justice Carol Lawrence Beswick's warning that the increasing number of litigation against the Integrity Commission and its executives may impede the body's efforts to combat corruption. The chairman made the remarks in the Commission's annual report for the 2025-2026 financial year. The report, tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, comes as both Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness and Cabinet Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley press their own court challenges against the Commission. In her message, Lawrence Beswick says the Commission respects the constitutional right of every individual to go to the courts and remains committed to honoring all judicial processes and determinations. But she warns that the increasing use of litigation, whether intended or not, could impede the timely discharge of the Commission's responsibilities. According to her, defending legal actions takes up a lot of time, resources, and institutional capability that could be used to look into and stop corruption. The Commission made 62 referrals for prosecution during the 2025-26 reporting period. This is over 20 times the 3 referrals that were made during the prior time frame. The Commission's Director of Corruption Prosecution initiated matters in 31 of the 62 referrals. Of those, 21 led to convictions for public officials' failure to file statutory declarations as mandated under the Integrity Commission Act.
Thank you, Nora Gay. Well, those are the top 3 stories of the past week. And of course, as is customary, let me ask my panelists, do you agree with the top stories of the week? Yannick?
Yes, they're quite on point in terms of what has been happening.
Okay, and you, Dennis?
Yes, certainly. Very important issues.
Okay, well, let me start with the first one then, the Integrity Commission, the warning from the chairman, litigation seeming to impede the commission's work. I want to put it this way, where is the line exactly between the commission's work and litigation? Where do you draw that line as to someone's right to go to the courts to say, I disagree, I want the court to rule on this, but, of course, impeding the work of the commission, very important work?
Well, I'm not sure that there's a line that can be drawn. If it is parties to litigation bring litigation because they are of the view that they have a winnable case, usually they would have consulted with their attorneys, raised the issues that they're having, and their attorneys would advise them whether or not they have a case that is warrants litigation. So I'm not sure that there's a line that can be drawn due to the effect of the litigation impeding the work of the commission.
Okay. Dennis, you?
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about drawing a line. I want to first acknowledge the right of people to challenge issues that are within their purview. I have a concern, however,
Yes.
that the same people who promulgate the legislation, the parliament, it's the same parliamentarians. I haven't heard much of people who don't sit in parliament challenging these rulings at the IC, but the same parliamentarians. So for me, it's a concern. It's a concern that the leadership was selected by the Prime Minister in consultation with the leader of the opposition, appointed by the Governor General. For me, it's concerning that these are people who have, throughout their career, demonstrated good moral judgment. It is for me, if I take over leadership of an organization and I see cases where my staff have brought them, and as a leader I don't believe that they have justification, then certainly as a leader I would have to deal with them.
Right.
And the fact that you have people who you appointed who are supposed to be credible, the parliament approves them, and then you turn around taking them to the court is of great concern to me in a democracy like this.
Indeed. Let me go quickly because it's short for time here due to some technical difficulties earlier. But the police commissioner, in his last column, Commissioner's Corner, he says, misconduct, non-compliance, indiscipline, yes, it happens. And I think we should credit the commissioner for actually acknowledging that.
Definitely.
But is that to be seen as a healthy dose of realism, or is it an attempt or a risk of lowering the bar on what citizens should accept from police officers?
I'm an ex-cop.
Oh, really?
11 years in the force.
Okay.
And maintain my link.
Talk to me.
Leadership, rules, supervision, execution, monitoring, and when you see the results, rewards and punishment. The commissioner's statements are an indictment on him and his leadership team to ensure that these things are fixed. When you take over an organization and you're the leader and you spot those things, you need to immediately put in place measures to deal with it. Over the last few years, I've seen almost 300 people being promoted to higher ranks. Why are they being promoted? Are they being promoted while the indiscipline, the non-compliance, and the misconduct
But I imagine it's not the
continues?
people who have been caught in
Is-
disciplinary procedures that are being promoted.
Every organization's culture is a feature of the leadership. Culture follows leadership. Leadership must put in place the measures to deal with. The police force is a paramilitary organization, not like the army, but it has certain. You'd be amazed at the powers that the commissioner and his leaders through the gazetted ranks have. Let us just use one example of indiscipline. Every day you drive on the road, you see policemen blocking the whole road, investigating fender bender. That is non-compliance or indiscipline or whatever that is. There's a simple rule you follow in accidents: casualty, obstruction, investigation. Which policeman, how many are following it? I've had to be calling to them at stoplight: police, clear the road. It's a fender bender. As simple as it is, it would be one of the element of non-compliance. And although, so one has to question: are they trained? Are they continuous training like I had? Is it still in place? Are we following up on those training? Do we have the type of supervision where senior people would be on the road sometimes, not sitting in offices, checking on their people, monitoring? How many times we see policemen, 5, 6, 7 of them at the same rank of constable, out on the road, no leadership, based on the rank, to ensure that there's a voice of conscience on the scene.
So let me ask you this then, because the commissioner also said that based on the organization's size and complexity,
12,000 people, 500.
he says you can't eliminate every internal challenge.
And I do not expect in any organization that there's going to be perfection. I would never claim to aim for perfection. I would claim that you aim for reduction, significant reduction. And there are policies. When I served, I didn't see some of these kind of indiscipline. I didn't see policemen standing up in the front of a driver. We followed the rules where you stood behind the driver to execute a discussion about traffic and traffic violation. So there are so many things that I've seen, observed going wrong. I have had to call policemen, senior policemen, to ask them, can't you talk and train your people to do better? So I still come back to 12,000 people, almost 500, 400, at least 400 senior gazetted rank, 30 men to an officer, and then you have hierarchy below that: inspector, corporal, sergeant. There has to be a better way to spot, identify the infractions, and to deal with it through the processes. Training, you don't always punish first. You counsel, you train, you guide, and then when you're not getting changes, you execute the rules that are in place.
Very well. Yannick, let me ask you this, because Jamaica has seen a real reduction in the murder rate, for example, in crime. Is there a risk that those operationalization on wins will be seen as a paper cover for accountability with certain things?
I don't think so. Reason being, the JCF has its own internal policies and its own internal division that are mandated to monitor the infractions when they are brought to the attention of the relevant authorities. I also disagree with the indictment on the commissioner. I actually think that it is a very transparent manner in which he governs his organization and how he converses with the public in terms of what is happening. I think that corruption within a law enforcement body like the JCF, I think it is a common thing across, many countries in the world. Whilst it's something that you probably will never fully eradicate because of the different inputs that goes into encouraging police officers to be in discipline. Some of them just to do with the person's personality, because remember that the people that go into the force are human beings coming from different socioeconomic backgrounds, and they carry with them their culturalization, their norms, their values, and their experiences. So I would commend the commissioner for his admission, and I would implore and encourage him to continue doing the work that he says he's doing. And I know that they are doing in terms of clamping down on officers. Several times we are seeing officers before the courts, meaning that officers are before the courts for murder, they are before the court for corruption.
Yeah, but when the officers are before the courts for murder, that's because of Indicom, not because of the JCF itself.
The point I was making in pointing that out is that the bodies, several, not only within the JCF but even outside of the JCF, that are tasked and authorized to deal with these infractions, I'm pointing those indictments out because those bodies are doing their work. It's not perfect, and as you admitted, we would not have a perfect system, but I think it is big on him to actually be truthful and honest with the public to say, we have these and we're dealing with them.
Very well. And finally, to my mind, the egregious story, the man with 92 tickets, the traffic ticket public days that were held at the National Arena in Kingston and St. Andrew, 43,000 tickets in a single 2-day event. How did we get here? And by the way, I know of many persons who have tickets who did not get to register for this 2-day period.
That's within the story. The story indicates that there is over 1.1 million tickets that are outstanding. So 43,000 registrants, not necessarily that the 43,000 persons or tickets appeared on the days allotted, but 43,000 registrants is a mere 4.3% of the amount of outstanding tickets that are there. And if Jamaica should hear from the authorities what is the monetary value of these 1.1 million tickets, I think our heads would spin on a swivel when we're thinking about the kids who are in the West who are still without roofs for their school tops and things like that. So I think we should really, I think we should stop placating. This 4.3% out of the amount of outstanding, I think it's almost like it's public.
Well, it's 43,000.
43,000.
And there's more, but
So my perspective on it
Yes.
is, and I believe, and I would like to know, how well are we working within the technology that we have? If a man has 90 odd tickets,
4.3%.
no, a man has 90 odd tickets over a period. The question is, would he have had some licensing system?
no, but I'm glad you went
upgraded?
there, Dennis, because I want to ask you, I want to pose this to you specifically, because with the system as it is,
Yeah.
you recall that people have paid tickets and it has not come off the system.
Yes.
And as a result of that, CAD, the Court Administration Division, they have said that knowing these inefficiencies or technical difficulties in the system, courts became reluctant in issuing warrants.
Warrants, yes.
I know people up to today that have paid tickets and they now have warrants on their name for the said ticket that they have paid. These issues have resulted in this backlog.
Listen,
How do we resolve all of it
I have a friend
going into this new
I
system?
have a friend who had to take the country to find a ticket 2 times and can't find it.
Wow.
It happened in COVID. So I believe, unless I am convinced otherwise, that the technology is not as robust as
It's
it
not.
ought to be.
It could never be.
And the technology must be tied to your licensing, to your taxes,
To your registration
to
plate.
register anything that you're doing,
It needs
so
to
that
be-
it flags.
And I
It-
think there's a separation of the systems too that is causing the
Causing
issue.
the problem.
Because I go for a holiday in Ocho Rios.
Yeah.
Let's say if I even go to Negril, I live all the way in Portland or I live all the way in Kingston. I cannot, if let's say for some reason I was ill, something happened, I didn't have the money, and the payment time for the ticket passes, I have to go to Negril
place where- exactly.
to go and stand in line for
Absolutely.
Well,
a very inefficient
and that is
system
that
to
is
get a
interesting, you know,
ticket
because
right
I
up.
get a
while-
ticket in the US and I mailed the check
Yeah.
years ago.
Yes.
In 1996 when I was there studying. I got it in Virginia. I went home to Nashville where I was. I put a check in an envelope, ticket paid. And that is, and look how far we've come with technology and we just can't get it right.
And you know-
so there has to be an
Yes.
investment
Yes.
And the money
in
is
the
there.
technology.
Yes.
Technology is there,
To
the
link
expertise
it,
is there,
connect
and the
it,
funds are
and
there.
to make, and then we could be collecting all this money.
Yes, and interestingly, you know, I've made submissions before the court before, particularly in the Kingston and St. Andrew jurisdiction, because Section 4 of the Traffic Court Act actually allows for a resident in Kingston to bring any ticket from any other parish in Kingston.
Absolutely.
However,
They can't
when it
find
comes to the police officer to finding the warrant and
Yeah,
all of
I
that,
agree.
you're left at naught.
I agree.
So even where the law assists you, and that is a 1970 law, by the way, even where that law assists you, the system itself,
We haven't gotten it right.
yes.
And I don't think it's because we can't.
So the issue that we're seeing here then, I want to pose this final question. The issue that we're seeing here, I think we all can agree then, that it is part defiance on some people's part, like this man with 100 tickets and 92 tickets, but the system has also had its play with inefficiencies.
Absolutely.
As a result of that, understanding that context, the minister saying that, clearing up this backlog is important to the instituting of the demerit point system. What do we do? Do we go and have legislation to just clear everybody's name and give everybody a fresh start?
Instruct somebody
Or
to fix
do
the
we
technology.
try and sort this out?
Instruct somebody to fix the technology and because we
But
have
can we realistically clear
have-
the backlog and give everybody a clear opportunity to have this done before the instituting of the new system?
I would say that as a punishment, sometimes when judges get persons before them, they will use additional amounts, not just a ticket price, but they will add an amount for a punitive measure to say you have caused the government to have me here sitting down listening to you and the policeman to come here about this ticket, and even all the court staff involved in having this matter heard today. So therefore, I'm going to put a price on the extra services that you have caused by simply not going and paying your ticket by the date it was due to be paid. What I would say is, if we could find a way to let that be technologically guided, meaning that punishment part of it, if persons could have a way to pay, even if the court date has passed, but pay additional amounts.
So if it passes a certain time, it increased by 10% or the like.
And not
Taxation.
even not even
Taxation
just
does
a
that.
one-time increase. It could be a running increase, meaning suppose it's $1 per day. It depends on how long you want to continue to have the
Got
tickets
you.
outstanding.
Got you.
just like the penalties for other tax payments.
Yes, indeed. And in England, particularly, if you pay your ticket by the deadline, you're fine. If you go over that, I think it increases by 50%, something of the sort.
Something
So,
like that. But
yeah,
still
there's a
allow it
system.
to be paid on the
it
tax
reduces
portal.
the pressure of having to have too much human intervention to fix those problems.
Very well. Very well. Well, that's the review of the top stories. Up next, the movers and shakers. We're going to talk to Attorney at Law John Clark about the constitutional rights of the litigant and, of course, impeding the work of the Integrity Commission. Is there a balance to be brought? We'll hear from him after the break.
Join Nationwide 90 FM live for an outside broadcast with Cliff Hughes Online on Wednesday, July 15, 2026 from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Separat's Danvers Pen facility in St. Thomas. Be there as the Jamaica Dairy Development Board under the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining officially distributes 400 heifers to dairy farmers across the island as part of the government's emergency recovery initiative following Hurricane Melissa. Hear from the Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Floyd Green, along with key stakeholders as they outline the government's recovery efforts and long-term vision for a stronger, more resilient dairy sector. Join Cliff Hughes for insightful interviews, expert analysis, and live coverage from the heart of this important national initiative. Tune in to Cliff Hughes Online Wednesday, July 15 for a live broadcast from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. from Separat's Danvers Pen facility in St. Thomas. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Dairy Development Board.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Wake up, Jamaica.
It's another glorious day on Nationwide this morning. From your 6 a.m. alarm to the news at 6. Coming up in the news at 6 to me telling you what's on my mind.
To more news at 7 a.m. Coming up in the news at 7. And then the biggest issues dissected, interrogated and discussed on the front page. Nationwide this morning fires you up and sets you right for the remainder of the day.
And there's much more until 9 a.m. Want to know which roads to avoid on your morning commute?
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Little McLean.
Listen to Street Smart.
Want to hear more about things happening at the community level outside the bustling corporate area? Listen to Across Jamaica.
George, it's someone's birthday. Happy birthday, yeah, my friend. And that someone will hear a special greeting every morning via the Birthday Club.
Nationwide this morning on the revolution in media.
It's coffee, tea, and everything else
for those who want an energetic, rip-roaring start to their day.
12:35. Thank you so much for staying with us. Of course, welcome back to the week that was, and of course, it is the segment we call the Movers and the Shakers. The focus today is the impact on the rising tide of litigation against the Integrity Commission and its executives. This was one of the concerns outlined in the Commission's annual report for the 25-2026 financial year by Chairman retired Justice Carol Lawrence Beswick. She noted that while the Commission respects everyone's constitutional right to go to court, the increasing number of litigation against the body could impede its work. She notes that defending legal actions take up a lot of time, resources, and institutional capability that could be used to look into and stop corruption. The Prime Minister and Cabinet Minister, Dr. Andrew Wheatley, are two legislators who have brought legal action against the Commission. Is this a danger to the work of the Commission? To bring some perspective to this issue, I'm joined by constitutional attorney John Clark. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining me, John. Well, let me start here. Is there a danger in challenging the findings of the Integrity Commission in a court of law? Is there any danger to it?
Well, for starters, in all of the cases, I made a reference, including one with the Prime Minister,
yes,
and one with Mr. Wheatley. In both cases, they'll have to get leave from a single judge before the matter is heard by the full court. So in all cases, the court would have to adjudicate over what is proposed suit and make a determination if there's something worthy of debate in our courts. And as relates to the one with the Prime Minister, we know already that the Prime Minister got leave. So it means that a court, separate and apart from the Integrity Commission, separate and apart from the Prime Minister's lawyer, examined the proposed action and gave him leave to bring it. So that means that there's something worthy of debate, and so the court decides that it should examine to make a determination. And in those circumstances, one cannot say that it is not in the best interest of the country that the issues that arose from the Prime Minister's proposed lawsuit are heard and determined by a court. Mm-hmm. So in many cases, it can only make the Integrity Commission stronger and make our jurisprudence stronger when a court examines competing arguments and come to a final determination.
So to be clear, you're saying that because of the filtering process, the first stage process where you need permission, you need leave in order to go to the judicial review process, that check right there gives balance between the guardians, the Integrity Commission, and of course those offended, the accused?
It does, but it also means that any concern that Madam Chairperson would have about the the strain on the resources should be addressed elsewhere, and perhaps that can be addressed in Parliament by the persons who are giving resources to the Integrity Commission. But if a court examine the proposed action and find that there's merit to the proposed action and grant leave, then it cannot be said that is not something deserving of judicial determination.
Very well. A lot of people said, though, John, that the courts take an inordinate amount of time. We know from the practice that litigation is no sprint, it's a marathon. And that inordinate long time for a matter to be dealt with, disposed of, could be seen as a delay in the hand of justice. Some persons have said, it is seen as a way to use the sub judice rule and cause disquiet on the issue until the persons have passed a particular stage. It's almost seen as a silencer when it comes to politics. What do you make of that?
Well, for starters, the purpose of the sub judice rule is specifically to ensure that in situations where the court action is likely to be impeded by certain public discourse, that comment is tempered until adjudication can happen. And in some cases, we must never forget that the reputation, sometimes reputation built over decades of public officials, are actually underlined by reports from the Integrity Commission. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the reports are actually made by humans. Errors can be made in the report.
Yes.
So in those circumstances, it's a balancing act. And what may be necessary is that in light of the new culture of challenge to the Integrity Commission, there may be need for an increase in the budget. The Integrity Commission may need to use in-house counsel, because what I seem to be the practice that they use external counsel. So one shudder to think what the bill is like to be to the public purse from the Integrity Commission's use of external counsel to assist it in defending these matters. And furthermore, if the Integrity Commission loses in court, what is likely to be the bill when it receives from the victorious party if the Integrity Commission loses to the public purse again from any election? So it is likely to be an expensive venture either way. So what it is necessary that a new look is taken as relates to is there a need for statutory timelines within which the court should the court hear these matters as a matter of priority, as are sometimes done for election matters. Mm-hmm. And in those circumstances, maybe some of the concern that Madam Chairperson herself, a very experienced
jurist, yes,
would have expressed, can somehow be balanced. Because what is necessary as well is that if there's a legitimate issue to be determined by the court, sometimes 5 years may not be a good time for that issue to be determined. Indeed. It can be determined in a shorter space of time. Perhaps that can only help good administration. Mm-hmm. There's an objective behind any judicial review action.
Yes. You went somewhere where I was going as it relates to timelines, because when something lingers, it also damages reputation because it leaves a clouds over the politician's head. And the inordinate delay also seems to affect the Integrity Commission. Are you of the view that any amendments to the Integrity Commission Act or to any other act, particularly with the courts and their jurisdiction, should enable them or mandate them to hear the matter at particular stages within a particular period of time, giving concern and, of course, consideration to its complexity, etc.?
Yes, I believe that would be helpful. And I also believe in the short term, until that legislation is done, perhaps both the litigants, that is the Integrity Commission, and the persons who are bringing it to court can do affidavit of urgency and ask the relevant judicial officers treat these matters as matters of urgency and to hear it quickly. Mm-hmm. Our court has demonstrated, especially under our new Chief Justice, that it has the bandwidth to deal with matters in record time. And in those circumstances, if the parties are ready and are truly ready to have the matter heard with a reasonable time, I see no problem with the court hearing it as quickly as it can.
All right. And final one to you here, John. I hope you actually give me an answer, not tell me that you're not in a position to determine. But if you were to make a recommendation to Parliament or to its Joint Select Committee on the relevant amendment to legislation to institute a timeline, what timeline would you think is reasonable, having all considered the issues at hand?
I specifically believe that can look to what happened in the election court, because in many situations, we have a precedent as relates to how election matters are dealt with quickly in Jamaica. And I believe that these, especially the ones involving parliamentarians, should be treated no differently in terms of timeline. And a period of 12 months, I believe, should be sufficient for the matter should be determined entirely. And what is concerning, and concerning on both ends, is that if the Integrity Commission has legitimate basis to come to its finding, one wouldn't want those findings to be delayed for far too long, with the persons who are the affected parties having this cloud over their head, and the Integrity Commission can essentially being stayed for far too long. So 12 months, I believe, is reasonable and achievable, bearing in mind what our courts have demonstrated they can do, election matters, and also bearing in mind the public interest in having these things dealt with as quickly as possible.
Very well. Thank you so much, John Clark, for your time.
For this invite.
Good. Up next, winners and losers of the week.
Attention contractors, developers and homeowners. Glacier White Corian Solid Surface is now at a special price while stocks last. Choose Corian for your commercial and residential projects. You won't regret it. It's durable, beautiful and long-lasting. No sealing necessary. Corian is the #1 solid surface in the world. Second to none. Visit Home International Limited at 104 Constant Spring Road. Telephone 876-755-1970 or 876-276-6448. Open Mondays to Fridays, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and on Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
12:45. Thank you so much for staying with us. It is the week that was. I'm yours truly, Saeed Bernard. And of course, this is the time where my panelists, Yannick and Dennis, will tell us who their winners and losers of the week are. And I'm going to start with Yannick here. Yannick, your winner and loser of the week.
For winner, I would like to give a shout out to Miss Zenaya Pinnock. She is 6 years old. She was a valedictorian for her infant school. Recently, Tona Thomas had her on the show this week, and her speech, her valedictorian speech, was played for all of Jamaica to hear.
Nice.
And she was absolutely amazing. And I want to say big ups to her parents and her family. I understand that her sister is actually interning here. And I just want to say shout out to you, Zanaya. You made your family proud, and we are looking forward to great things from you.
Yes, and your loser?
My loser would be the traffic day.
Why?
Because I was saying that I believe that the system itself needs to be fixed, and I think that the public traffic day itself, when you look at the bigger picture of the amount of tickets that are outstanding and the seriousness of the backlog, and that this with 4.3% registration out of the outstanding tickets that are there to be paid, it shows that we have not made even a dent. And for me, that is something that really should be paid great attention to. I think that the powers that be need to come together and brainstorm and figure out really how are we going to make a dent in this amount of outstanding money for the government's coffers more meaningfully than what has been accomplished. Though big up to the judiciary in terms of the system. I spoke to persons who attended, and they described the process as seamless. It wasn't without some delay, but in terms of the overall picture of it, they describe the process as worthwhile and worth their time, and they're feeling good having cleared those tickets up without having to have gone through the regular process that it would have taken to have them dealt with.
Very well. And you, Dennis?
My winner, despite my me indicating that I think that the leadership of the police force need to take greater responsibility for a better organization, is the fact that the commissioner has still come out and highlighted it. I want to see more constructive things done to fix it, because we rely so much on a well-organized and disciplined police force to maintain a society. And I also recognize the indiscipline of the society that creates it, but I believe that it's good that it is highlighted, and we now expect to see the results of the actions that are being taken to fix that. My biggest loser would be that man with the 90-yard tickets and his cronies.
Yes.
It means that somebody who has 90-yard tickets is contributing to the degradation of indiscipline on the road and
Yes.
society, putting pressure on the system. It means, and I don't know what the type of infractions are, but
Yeah.
90-yard must mean that
Must mean something.
you're a
Shouldn't have a
very
license.
indisciplined person.
And probably shouldn't be driving.
And you probably shouldn't be driving and shouldn't have so
Well,
much.
come
And
October,
anybody in
come
that
October
those
1,
numbers-
you don't get the chance to have that much tickets without being
absolutely.
suspended.
Yes.
Good. So let me get that right. So your winner is Zeno, the valedictorian, Zenaya from the infant school. Your loser is a traffic ticket public day.
Yes.
Wow, that's a hard one for me to swallow.
Because of the need to highlight that 1.1 million tickets are outstanding and we only registered 43,000 for the 2 days. So that means that the
1.1
backlog
million
is
tickets
basically
in
not
Kingston?
touched.
1.1 million tickets in Kingston or
No,
in the entire
overall.
country? Okay.
Overall, but
Okay.
if you look at the number that was registered to be paid, we don't know if all of them have been paid. Compared to the total outstanding, have we really made a dent is the question. Hence
Very
why
well.
it's my loser.
Very well. All right. And for you, Dennis, your winner was, remind me again?
The fact that the commissioner has identified,
Yes, he
and
has
it's
named it.
named it.
Yes.
I would like to see the
So
fixes.
the commissioner is a
Yeah.
winner today,
Yeah.
and of course you'd like to see him target it now to give the fixes.
Absolutely.
And your loser is
Anybody who amasses so many
92.
tickets are a danger. They're a danger to
Public safety.
To public safety.
well, no, you see how the taxi man them drive,
Yeah,
and the
well,
bus
you
man
know,
them.
I
No
don't
surprises, eh?
So we welcome September.
Well, let us see, because legislation is one thing, having the rules and procedures and the regulations is one thing, enforcement is entirely
Separate.
different.
Absolutely.
And that is where we've always crumbled, enforcement. As it relates to what lies ahead, the week ahead, of course, we don't just look at the past week, but we try to give some perspective for next week. Your views on what lies ahead, Dennis?
Semi-final week next week. That is all I can think of now.
Yes.
Rooting for France.
Yes,
Yes.
and hopefully certain sides should have. If the law of averages hold, then there must be a bad match.
Yes.
There must be
Yes.
a time when certain people
Yes.
lose and go home.
And for you, Yannick?
Well, for me, I am still on the traffic tickets. I would like to know how much money was collected.
Very well. Okay. Well, for me, my analysis of it is the last week, the top stories really painted what was happening in Jamaica. The commissioner's call was his clarion call as it relates to misconduct, and the offences from police officers really came to the fore. And as Dennis says, to borrow his words, it now needs to be addressed and targeted. But I was happy that the commissioner could name it. As regards the traffic ticket public day, I thought it was a very good start. And what I would love to see is that continuing not only in Kingston, but be brought to the other 13 parishes, because there is a need to give everyone the clarion call to clear their tickets before the time is too late. However, they have restrictions. I haven't interviewed the court administration division's PRO, its communications director, Kadish Fletcher, and resources are an issue. I am hoping, however, that in the coming week we can hear from them the success that this had, how many tickets were cleared, the amount of monies collected as a result of the traffic ticket public day, and what other traffic ticket public days will be had in the various parishes. But of course, I could not leave without saying that anxious of them all is the World Cup, the semi-finals. I said at the start of it that it was shaping up to be an immigration battle, a political battle with the orange man who inserted himself in the politics of football. But it has been saved. The football has saved this World Cup, and what a World Cup. A World Cup of many late goals. But of course, the semi-finals between France and Spain, some call it the finals before the finals. And of course, my team, Argentina, with Lionel Messi, going up against the King's territory of England. Is it coming home to them? I don't think so. But I wait with bated breath two hot matches. The top 4 ranked teams in the world are in the last 4 of the World Cup. No surprise there. And I'm sure we are awaiting with bated breath. And when I say we, I do not include the Brazil fans. Anyways.
Hopefully karma hits. Hopefully karma.
You see, you can't even pronounce the word. Let's leave it there.
Karma for Egypt.
But,
time for a bad match within the whole run.
Sufficient until the day. Sufficient until the day. I'd like to thank my guest, certainly Attorney at Law Yannick Watson and Director of Hickey Grant Property Masters, Dennis Hickey, for joining me. Always a pleasure having you both here with me. Yes. Always spirited discussions, notwithstanding our disagreement on that point. But of course, special thanks to you, our listeners, our viewers, all of you who make the show possible, our YouTubers. Love you all. And of course, have a very happy weekend, or what's left of it, at the very least. Yeah. I am Said Bernard. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take care. Okay.